Hi, I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach. Welcome to Improve Your Relationships, where I like to talk about attachment injuries and healing attachment trauma. And perhaps if you have some history around dysfunctional, unhealthy relating, and maybe even have some attachment injuries that are unintegrated, you might have a core belief or an approach to relating where you substitute pity for love or you confuse pity for love. We can think of this as like the wounded bird syndrome, where there is someone that you are attracted to, their fragility. You're attracted to that part of themselves, of the other person who is wounded, who is sad, who is a mess, has some need to mature and grow and get encouragement and get help. And you elevate yourself, you assign yourself that role of being the person who's going to help the wounded bird heal and grow. And oftentimes, what this means is that you have a core belief that if you can support and help the other person become the best version of him or herself and work through whatever history of their own woundedness and work through the places where they're hurt and the suffering that they're working with, that somehow you now have a job and you're needed. And so you're not enough. You can't just be yourself. You can't just be loved and love in a relationship. You now need to use relationship in a way that there is an imbalance of responsibility and caretaking, where you are now looking out for the other person in hopes that he or she feels loved. And it is your job to work really, really, really hard to make sure the person feels loved and that you connect, and that you have this belief that if you can do this, then they love you back. And then you're special because you have really managed to reach that fragile, wounded bird place, that broken, wounded place of their suffering. And you have somehow become a savior. You have somehow become the one person who loved them right, or technically, I think, should we say, love them rightly, love them in a way that they are now even indebted to you. And you're solidifying and creating a place for yourself to be loved. Well, this, what I'm describing, is an imbalanced relationship at your expense, and you're keeping yourself out of it. It's very one-sided in the direction of investing into the other person. And over time, you're going to notice how you're depleted and you're not investing in yourself. And you're probably going to become resentful because the other person is not able to engage and then take care of your own wounded bird nature, not be able to take care of your own woundedness and suffering. And oftentimes what's operating here is this core belief that you have to prove that you have worth to be loved. And if you can do that successfully, then you'll be loved back. And then that will undo your core belief that you're not lovable. So can you see and hear this cyclical, this very looping belief system that really just keeps imploding on itself? And chances are you're going to burn yourself out. Chances are you're going to feel cheated of not getting the exchange and connection that you want. Chances are you're going to resent the other person for the fact that you have attempted to sow through your empathy and through your caring and through your really wanting to break through. It's this feeling like, I gotta get through to the other person. And what's driving it is a misguided empathy, a misguided empathy where you're attracted, you use your pity, your intense feelings of pity for this other person. You use the imbalance of your empathy for how this other person's life is so not going well, or the parts of themselves where they themselves are so hurt, and you activate your empathy for their hurt, and it's the intensity and depth of this empathy that you then say, well, see, I love him so much, or see, I love her so much, and therefore we are in a good relationship. That's not necessarily true. You still need skills to be in relationship. You still need a reciprocity and an engagement of all levels. And we can't exploit one area. You can't exploit your empathy and see the other person and use feeling pity for that person as now the foundational reason of why you're in relationship with this person. We need more reasons than that. It needs to be more viable, and it needs to be more life-giving to you, as opposed to you signing up to be a support for the other person's life. So if this is you, if you're someone who mistakes or confuses or substitutes pity for love, well, how else can you do a relationship different? Let's pretend. Here's the challenge. Here's the question. You're going to do it differently. You're not going to pursue this dynamic of confusing pity for love. And if that's the case, what other approaches are you going to use? How else would you define relationship? What new or other core beliefs must you have and be aware of that are guiding you and leading you into the direction of creating a relationship, as opposed to the core belief that you're not worthy, or that you need to prove that you're worthy through loving this person enough, and if you just love harder and better, and you're then so special that the other person will just see how amazing you are, because you have been the one person in the world who's been able to set them free of their burden of their woundedness. So it's this a savior complex, and oftentimes it works both ways, which means you want to be a savior. And if I join with you and say, like many of us act like this, so if we want to be a savior in a relationship, but it also means the flip side of that is then we want a savior ourselves. And it's this whole idea that we need someone to save us. We need someone to love us in order to be worth love. We need someone to love us enough to know that we have value. That's what gets us into trouble, because fundamentally you already have value right now. It's here. That's who you are. So again, the question, if you stop doing this and you're not going to be in a relationship where you're using a framework or coming from the dynamic of substituting pity for love, well then how are you going to be in a relationship? What are your options? Let's brainstorm. Let's come up with some ideas. Let's just free associate and figure that out. And please put some of your comments here below, and let's spark some dialogue and see what we come up with. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.